5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, it's Steve with Short Shift Garage. So just to be clear about a few things, I'm not an influencer. I'm not trying to sell you HP tuners. I'm not trying to sell you any products whatsoever. I'm just out here trying to help you. And hopefully you'll take that as a good thing, since there's so many people out there trying to sell products they don't know shit about. Sorry for my language, but I'm going to use it occasionally, so get used to it. Let's look at our VCM scanner today. This is basically lesson number 1. I might label it that way, I don't know yet. But let's call it lesson number 1. So the number 1 thing you need to do is, before you do anything else, is to make sure that you're capable of logging good data. And there's 2 ways to load defaults. You have your SAE defaults, which will give you all your SAE channels. Of course, this is a 2023. Anything after 2014, you can't log any of this stuff, so it's wrong. Ethanol fuel percentage, we don't have ethanol fuel monitors on our vehicles. They didn't put them on their Dodges, so, but some of this stuff is bogus. And then if you load the vehicle defaults, you're going to find some SAE and some vehicle. Well, that's probably never a good combination, because you're getting 2 different types of data. You're getting one that's scalar. In other words, it's what's supposed to be coming from the PCM. And then you have these that are standardized. So SAE means it's standardized industry standard. And these other ones that don't have the SAE behind them means that there's something that's interpreted. So do you want to mix standardized with interpreted? I don't think so. So how do we fix this issue? Well, let me show you a little trick first before we get started. You notice how we have these nice spaces in between things so we can group stuff? Well, the way you create a space is you first hold down your control key, come to the bottom of your list, and go down. That'll create one blank space for you. Now you can come up one line, hold your control key down, and create as many blank spaces as you want. So you can just keep making those forever. I suppose at some point there's a limit. Well, what I do is I'll take, say, like 3 or 4 of them, and I'll do that, just hold my shift key down and hit the down arrow and highlight them. And then I'll take my control key and I'll move that whole block at one time. And I'm going to move it up underneath engine RPM, because that's where I'm going to demonstrate a method that I use. So I have engine RPM, which is the vehicle default. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to look at RPM. So let's see what we have under RPM. Oops. Okay, so under engine RPM, I've got 1, 2, 3 different choices. So the 2, which ones do I have now? Well, according to this one, I've got this and this. And I've got this one chosen, but I know I've only got one. Are they the same? Probably. So I'm going to go engine RPM, engine RPM. That one doesn't select. I'll do engine RPM here. That one does not select. This one down here. Look, it'll select twice. Why? Well, because this one's coming supposedly from the transmission. And so you should have, we have 3 here now. Let's go ahead and close that. These other RPMs are not related. At the moment, we'll keep those out of the scene. So what are we going to do? Well, we'll go down here. We have engine RPM being polled, which is SAE, and engine RPM, which is a broadcast channel. Now, let's look at the polling rate. Our polling rate for the broadcast channel is every 100 milliseconds, or 10 hertz. Our polling rate for the polled channel is every 200 milliseconds. Well, how can we possibly judge these against each other if they're polling at different rates? And the answer to that is you can't. So you change them so that they all are polling at the same rate. And you'll do this for vehicle speed, engine coolant temp, all the way down the line. For everything you're going to log, you get every single channel, and then you go out and you log data. And some channels will have no data. Those can be eliminated easily. Some channels will report differently. And so for engine RPM, I like the channel that reports the fastest. Is it going to be engine RPM, the scalar version, or is it going to be engine RPM SAE? You don't know until you log it. So then once you get your data back and you log it, you'll step through your log and you'll watch how these values change. And you'll be able to determine which one is updating the most reliably. So sometimes you'll have this guy here, SAE, and this guy here, and just engine RPM. This guy will lag, maybe, or maybe this one lags. So if it's saying that you're doing 1200 RPMs and this is at 1205, this one's ahead of this one. This one knows, this one's getting data better, or faster rather, than this one is. So what I do is I pick the one that's updating the fastest and the most consistently. You can scroll through your data and watch it update. And I take the most consistent and most accurate RPM. Now, do not watch your gauges here. Do not watch anything down here. Watch these values here when they change. And so that's the way I do it, and I validate everything before I get my first log file. So I'm going to tell you one that's really a touchy one. Manifold absolute pressure. If you use this supposedly broadcast channel for manifold absolute pressure, your manifold absolute pressure can or may exceed your barometric pressure. If that happens, you know you've got the wrong channel, because it's a physical impossibility for MAP to exceed barometric pressure on a naturally aspirated engine. So mine, if I use that channel, will show at wide open throttle 100% engine load, it will show a MAP of 106. That would mean I have 2 to 3 pounds of boost. You don't have it. I don't care if you've got one of those headlight tubes set up like a Hellcat does. You got it on your 5.7 stock engine. No. That's not even going to get close to that. So, it's, if you see that, it's wrong. It's absolutely paramount that the two, your MAP and your barometric pressure, are in sync. So you need to go out and do a wide open throttle pull. And if your MAP and your baro are identical, your barometric pressure and your MAP, manifold absolute pressure, are identical at wide open throttle, then you probably have the best channel. Okay. And why is that important? Okay, so when we get into VE tuning, volumetric efficiency tuning, which is the first step of the tune, we're going to use something called a pressure ratio. And the pressure ratio is the manifold absolute pressure divided by the barometric pressure. That is the ratio. That is the ratio that's used throughout HP tuners in many, many different tables, and especially the VE tables. When you open up your VE table, you'll see that it's a ratio. Well, that is that ratio. P ratio is also a determining factor in many other items. So if you're going to log it and you're going to work with it, you better be having it exactly right. Because if you don't, all your tuning's going to be off. So I will caution you, that is one of the ones that will get you. Here's another one. Fuel trim. We're monitoring fuel trim on long-term fuel trim as SAE, and then using short-term fuel trim as a scalar. There's no guarantee that these are going to be the same values and comparisons. So when it grabs short-term fuel trim, is it going to be at the same standards as the standard long-term fuel trim? So in my opinion, and I've watched it, it isn't. It is not the same. You can log the SAE version. I'll show you where that is. We go over here to add channels. We've got a short term. Yep. Short-term fuel trim. And you'll see that this guy here is probably not right. But you have the ability to pick the short-term fuel trim bank 1 SAE ratio. So I would make them, I always do, make them all the same. If I'm going to log trims in SAE, if one's going to be an SAE, they're all going to be an SAE. Do not mix them. So those are a couple of tips. Now, once when you go out there and you log all these data, you say your vehicle speed, you maybe got 15 of them. Like I said before, you can eliminate some of them because they won't even report. They're for the wrong vehicle. The other ones, you want to watch them real close and make sure that they're all comparing at least closely, and then pick the one that seems to be updating the smoothest. And you may have to change it. You may have to change it later. But at least at that point, you'll have made a good choice, hopefully. I'm going to show you what I use. I have a master list set up that I use, and I have tested on my car, and this does not guarantee it's going to work with your car, but on my car, I know they work beautifully. And it's my master list. These are all the channels that I can log on my car that I need to log, at least for this point. There might be others later. In fact, there will be others later. But for this point right now, I log all these channels. And I have made many test drives and pulled many log files verifying that these are correct. It's not an easy process, but once you're set up and you have your channel list, your good channels identified, of course, it could change all with the next update, but that's what you got to watch out for, especially if you're using the beta, is that a simple update might mess up your channel list. I don't think so, because HP Tuners doesn't look at Dodges very much. They're too interested in supporting their money makers, and Dodge is not their money maker. So let me show you another one. O2 voltage, bank 1, sensor 1, SAE. All right. You have SAE channels. Let me show you. So under O2s, you'll have SAE channels, and then you'll have your regular O2 voltage scalars, okay? And these scalars channels are, these HP tuners exposed us to them, and they report very much like a wideband O2 sensor might report. They are not wideband. It is these are still narrowband O2 sensors. Your car does not have wideband O2 sensors unless you got a Hellcat. But if you have a Helltech, then you do. But these are made to appear as wideband, and it's because it's the way the ECM actually processes the data. It converts this narrowband data to this wideband looking data for processing and maintaining lambda. Okay, so which is your fuel to air ratio, and it's fuel to air ratio, not air to fuel ratio. Later on, I'll show you how to set up an air to fuel ratio monitor using these, but right now, no. But yes, these will look and appear. They'll give you a beautiful sine wave instead of the basic on and off that the narrowbands do. And you'll swear up and down you got it. If you went out to Chat GPT and asked them, do I have wideband O2 sensors? They're going to say yeah, because it doesn't know. It's stupid. Chat GPT can be used. I won't completely dishonor it, but you have to be very, very careful with what you're asking it and what you're going to use the information for, or how you're going to use it, because it doesn't know. If you tell it, hey, what do you know about the GPEC2 PCM? It will come back with a whole bunch of answers, and then you go back and says, no, prove it, and it can't. All right. But if you go out there and say, hey, do I have O2 sensors that are wideband in my 2012 my 2018, it'll come back saying yes, and it will prove it, even though it's wrong. So, yeah, watch out using Chat GPT. We'll discuss Chat GPT later because it's very useful. But when it comes to making tuning decisions for you, do not use it. All right, so I'm going to close that down. That's your lecture on Chat GPT. It cannot tune your car for you. All right, so all these other channels that are on here, I literally spent probably 15 trips out logging data to validate all these for my car, and I will post them up on we have a Google Drive that I choose to use as a distribution point for files and stuff like that. I zip up different files and I'll post them up there. I'll let you know when they're available on the Google Drive. There'll be a link in the YouTube channel. It will be in a post, and usually it's the first post that has the link to the share for the Google Drive, and they're accessible by anybody. Subscribers have priority, so if you like and subscribe, you will have priority on that Google Drive, and you can go out and get these channel lists that I have already proven. However, if you use any of the data that I create, you have to make sure you validate it. Do not come back to me and tell me, hey, your data is crap. You know what? It works for me. It's crap because it doesn't work for you. But I'm telling you right now, if it doesn't, validate it. Validate it before you even try to use it. Alrighty, guys. That's enough for this video. You all take care. Have a good one. Thank you so much for watching my videos. I do appreciate it. Like and subscribe. If you don't like and subscribe, I'll quit doing this. All right, guys. You all take care. Thanks. Bye.